I have no self-control. How many times have you said that to yourself? Maybe it's after skipping the gym, putting off work until the last minute, or diving into junk food when you swore you'd eat clean. Saying, I have no self-control, feels like admitting defeat. But here's the truth. It's not the end of the story. In fact, it can be the starting point for building the kind of mental toughness and daily discipline that changes everything. Think about it. Nobody feels like running in the rain, waking up at 5 a.m., or saying no to instant gratification. Yet the people who crush it in life, the ones who look unstoppable, don't rely on feelings. They rely on self-discipline, the habits of consistency, and the ability to push through discomfort even when every excuse is screaming at them. That's how they stop procrastinating, build self-control, and push themselves to the limit when the average person gives up. And here's the twist. Maybe the real problem isn't that you lack motivation. It's that you believe you need it in the first place. That's the trap that keeps people lazy, stuck in self-sabotage, and endlessly waiting to feel ready. But the good news? Once you learn how to stop being lazy, overcome resistance, and actually do things you don't want to do, you'll discover a raw self-help approach that creates personal growth motivation and helps you finally get control of your life. Understanding the myth of motivation. Most people think motivation is the magic ingredient. You either have it or you don't. That's why so many say, I have no self-control, as if it's some permanent curse. But motivation is slippery. It's there when things are easy and disappears the moment life gets hard. A mentor once said, if you only move when you feel like it, you'll never move far. That's why learning how to stop procrastinating starts with breaking the illusion that motivation is enough. Imagine a student who waits until they feel motivated to study. Exams come, stress piles up, and panic replaces preparation. Or picture someone who wants to get fit but only works out when the mood strikes. They'll never build self-discipline because moods don't lift weights, habits do. Real progress happens when you push through discomfort and act without waiting for that magical spark. It's daily discipline, not sudden inspiration, that builds mental toughness. So instead of asking, how do I stay motivated? The better question is, how can I train myself to do things I don't want to do? That's the heart of raw self-help. Personal growth motivation rooted in reality, not feelings. The secret isn't finding motivation, but building the habits of self-discipline that make motivation almost irrelevant. And once you see that, it opens the door to understanding what truly drives consistency. Building habits that stick. Once someone realizes motivation isn't reliable, the next step is learning how to build self-control through habits. Think of habits as autopilot systems. Once they're locked in, they carry you forward even when you don't feel like it. That's why people who say, I have no self-control, often just lack the right systems. For example, setting your gym clothes out the night before makes it harder to skip the workout. You've already prepared the path. Small cues like that reduce resistance and make daily discipline easier to maintain. Consider how procrastination sneaks in. Someone might sit down to write, but their phone is buzzing with endless distractions. A simple habit like leaving the phone in another room while working creates an environment where focus becomes natural. That's how to stop self-sabotage. Design your surroundings so laziness has no place to hide. Building self-control isn't about superhuman willpower. It's about creating habits that make the right choice the easy choice. The real beauty is that habits compound. A person who commits to reading 10 minutes daily may end up finishing dozens of books a year. That's not just self-improvement motivation. It's how to be consistent without constantly fighting with yourself. And the more consistent you become, the stronger your mental toughness grows. Soon, you're not just pushing through discomfort, you're rewiring who you are. And that's where the deeper question begins. How do you train your mind to embrace discipline even when everything in you resists it? Training the mind to embrace discomfort. Here's the truth most people avoid. Growth never feels comfortable. The voice that says, I have no self-control, is often just the mind trying to escape discomfort. But mental toughness comes from doing things you don't want to do, again and again, until your brain stops resisting. Take cold showers, for instance. Nobody loves stepping into freezing water, Yet the practice trains you to push through discomfort and teaches you how to stop procrastinating in other areas of life. Think of athletes. They don't become champions by stopping when things get tough. They push themselves to the limit, past the burning muscles and mental resistance, until discipline becomes second nature. The same principle applies outside the gym, whether it's finishing a boring project at work, waking up early to study, or saying no to another night of mindless scrolling. Each act of daily discipline is proof that you can overcome lack of motivation. And here's the kicker. Every time you overcome resistance, you build a new identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who has no self-control and start seeing yourself as someone who takes charge. That shift fuels personal growth motivation on a whole new level. But embracing discomfort isn't just about pushing harder. It's also about mastering strategies that make discipline sustainable. And that leads us to a surprising key: how environment and routines secretly shape who wins and who quits. Designing an environment for success. People often think willpower alone is enough, but even the strongest minds eventually crack in the wrong environment. That's why someone keeps saying, "I have no self-control," because their surroundings constantly tempt them to slip. If you're trying to stop being lazy but your desk is cluttered, your fridge is stuffed with junk food, or your phone is buzzing with endless notifications, you're setting yourself up for self-sabotage. The fix isn't more discipline, it's smarter design. Take a simple example. Someone who wants to build daily discipline with reading. If the books are hidden away on a dusty shelf, they'll probably forget. But if they keep one on their nightstand or place it on their coffee table, reading becomes the natural choice. The same goes for fitness. Pack your gym bag the night before and leave it by the door. That's how you create habits of self-discipline that don't rely on bursts of motivation, but on making the right choice the default one. When you design your environment, you reduce the friction of good habits and increase the friction of bad ones. Want to stop procrastinating on work? Block distracting websites during focus hours. Want to push yourself to the limit with nutrition? Don't buy snacks you know you'll binge on. Every tweak in your environment makes it easier to get control of your life. But the question is, once the environment is set, how do you stay consistent when life throws unexpected challenges at you? That's where the real test begins. Staying consistent through life's challenges. Anyone can stick to discipline when things are easy. The real test comes when stress hits, when schedules get messy, or when life feels unfair. That's when people are tempted to say, "I have no self-control." But here's the truth. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about showing up even when conditions aren't ideal. Missing one workout isn't failure, but giving up completely is. Mental toughness is built in those messy, inconvenient moments when most people choose to quit. Take the entrepreneur who works on their side hustle after a long day at a draining job, or the parent who wakes up an hour earlier just to squeeze in exercise or learning. These aren't grand gestures. They're simple, repeated acts of daily discipline. Over time, they create unstoppable momentum. That's how ordinary people stop being lazy, overcome lack of motivation, and push through discomfort to achieve extraordinary results. The secret is to focus less on how you feel in the moment and more on the identity you're building. Each time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you can overcome resistance. That's raw self-help in action. Not glamorous, not flashy, but powerful and real. And when you keep stacking those wins, you start to build unshakable self-discipline. But here's the thing. Knowing all this won't change your life unless you actually apply it. So here's the challenge. Will you keep saying, "I have no self-control," or will you finally prove yourself wrong? Because everything we've talked about, overcoming resistance, pushing through discomfort, building habits of self-discipline, creating daily discipline, and staying consistent, only works if you apply it. The power isn't in hearing these words, it's in doing the things you don't want to do right now, today. Ask yourself, what's the one area in your life where you keep procrastinating? What's the habit you've been avoiding because it feels uncomfortable? And more importantly, what would your life look like 6 months from now if you stopped the self-sabotage and actually built the motivation to do hard things? That question should fire you up, because the answer is the life you've been chasing. If this message hit you, don't just nod and move on. Take action. Drop a comment with the habit you're committed to building starting today. And if you want more raw self-help and personal growth motivation like this, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started. Your future self will thank you.